Hi, good afternoon, or good whatever time of the day it is to you. My fans or followers, whatever, on YouTube. Yeah, okay. I guess the plan today, if you hear some noise in the background, it's my cat. He's roaming around behind the TV on the desk here and the monitor. So, the plan here today is to give you a brief sort of update of what's been going on with me, where I've been, what has happened with my health, what, sorry, I'm making some adjustments to this is my first, or one of my first attempts at doing a real production. So I, I will be making a few adjustments here and there. So yeah, going into updating you, and then actually I'm going to read a section from the Bible. Now, for those of my friends who haven't been keeping in regular communication with me over the last couple of years, yes, I have, um, don't know how to refer to it, become a son of God. Let's put it that way. I've been redeemed by Jesus. And yeah, that's the way I can say it is me sitting here in front of you, the way I look is a testimony. You know, if you don't want to believe that you're seeing me sitting here, then then you can write off my testimony. But if you believe that I'm actually sitting here, then you have to put some credence into what I. Well, you don't actually. It's up to you, but you'll have to at least hear me out if you want to sit here. So I'm going to read some of the Bible. I'm not really an expert. I don't claim to be an expert, but the more I delve into it, the more of the mysteries that I uncover, the more I feel that I made the right choice for one thing, and I also feel that just like a sense of peace and a sense of being loved. So yeah, I yeah, okay. So I'm gonna read. I just opened the book, the Bible, the book randomly to a page, and I'm gonna read from that page. Um, like I said, I'm not gonna do much of an interpretation on it, but that's at the latter part of this video. So to give you an update, and none of this is really like rehearsed or too much planned. The only part that's been rehearsed is kind of sort of the format that I'm going to. Oh, I didn't see. I didn't even realize that I had the page of the Bible already up on the screen. So I guess you guys got a heads up, or you people got a heads up on what I'm going to be reading. I might make a little bit of a guess at interpreting it here and there, but I won't. I won't claim to be. Well, I guess I'm prophesying. Yeah, by reading, I'm declaring these words to you. So I'm declaring them true. So first, here's what happened to me over the last few years. I have gradually, you could say accurately, that I was deteriorating in health. That was, I honestly, yeah, going to have to make an interpretation on what was taking place mentally, inwardly inside of me, and outwardly. Uh, Perhaps my most recent, um, episode or, or opportunity for the miracle to bring me to sit here in front of you today was when I was admitted to Vancouver General Hospital on around the end of January, right around that date. I'm not sure what the exact date was, but at that time, my day-to-day life was occupied by incredible amounts of pain all the time. I didn't have much of a semblance of a life. I didn't leave my apartment. I barely could leave the one section of the living room that I maintained, my existence on, you could say. Um, I didn't entertain thoughts of leaving the apartment because my legs. Um, it all started about. I've kind of made hints and videos of this here and there on my channel, but it started off a few years ago when, and I really hope this sounds good. I don't. Let me see. Before I go any further, I am going to just make sure. Yeah, okay. That I'm having this settings on the right. Yeah, it all started um, a few years ago when, and this is something I'm gonna have to get a video into. I don't know. I was praying. Um, I was involved in kind of, you could say, a relationship with someone that I really didn't. It wasn't wasn't something that that anyhow. I was praying to get my body to return function because I wanted to live a normal life. I wanted to travel. I wanted to, earn a normal livelihood. Although there were some serious mental blocks to allowing that to happen because, and mainly that had to do with my childhood and my upbringing. And I'm not going to blame it on that. I'm going to say that how it affected me was that I was not seeing everything that was around me and making an informed decision with all of that in mind. I was only seeing partially what was around me, and I was, not making quite the informed decision that I later came to know of. So when I'm praying at that time, praying for a return of function in my, say, my lower extremities, all the parts of my body that I had lost function in, or at least I prayed for use of my hands, um, but and also I was dabbling in, you could say, sort of my Hindu background, dabbling, diving into, wading in. I don't know how you really want to put it, but there's a lot of belief in within Hinduism in sound waves and these things called mantras and many things having to do with incantations and vibrations, sound vibrations, things like that. So I was I was dabbling in those areas to try to recover function, and I didn't have a guide, and I wasn't ready to follow anybody, so I just kind of searched the internet for guidance, and I came across, these sort of list programs and audio frequencies and so on that were intended to recover function in different parts of the body, or heal it, or bring it to normal function. So I was dabbling in that. It was demonic. It was evil because I didn't know who was producing this stuff and for what end. And the comments that I was reading in these YouTube videos were, you know, should have put some caution into my head. They were basically like these people were throwing themselves at the mercy of whoever was making these videos, and basically, kind of like what someday I'll tell you about the way I grew up and how people followed the gurus and the teachers that were within the Hindu structure of, you know, religious life or cult life, however you want to put it. So that was my childhood growing up. So, but similarly, in these videos, I was noticing these comments on the comments to the videos that were leading to me to believe that whoever was teaching this was doing it for some ulterior motives. But I just thought, well, I won't go that way. I'll just take what I want, and this is the only thing I can find that's delving into these topics the way I want it. Meaning, I wanted function within, my body. I wanted to be able to travel. I wanted to be able to have sex. I wanted to be able to feel strong. So I also began to use some herbal concoctions that I won't get into right now, but they may have had some function. Anyway, this all came tumbling down. Or, as I thought at the time, wow, this is great. I'm going to have a return of my function. I started feeling in my legs and my hands, tingling all the time, and things. I was so excited, and so I don't know. It eventually started becoming more and more painful. I ended up being at the emergency room more and more frequently, trying to get answers where none were to be found. When I'd go to the emergency room, they would say that they didn't know what was wrong with me, or that there was nothing wrong with me except that my blood pressure was high. Anyhow, come to this. So this all became more and more pronounced in the sense that I was trapped in and I couldn't, it hurt so bad even to get out of bed or to do anything. I was not, I'm still not wearing clothes. I just have like a shirt on, but it, it was too painful to put any pants on. And it's still like, but now I'm doing a lot better. So recently, as of this January, I had a seizure. It just got so painful that my brain couldn't take it anymore, and I had a seizure. And I went to the hospital, and yeah, it wasn't going well. They were they had concluded that I was low sodium, so they had balanced my sodium, but I was still having a lot of symptoms of 200 plus blood pressure frequently. Morning, evening, daytime, night. I always had this underlying sensation that I was about to go into one of these episodes. or my blood pressure would skyrocket and my body would shake, and it would I would have to take some sort of drug to calm it down, or nothing would work, or you know that's what brought me into the hospital. The seizure, and then I think I had somehow contracted pneumonia, and I think that was just from how cold they keep the hospital and me waiting in the emergency. So I'm there intubated, which basically means feeding through a tube, and then NG no that intubate is breathing through a tube. They had that done to me, and they had put an NG tube, which is a feeding tube, into your stomach. So I was completely out of it. Literally, I was sure that was it. When they, I have some memories of the whole event. I mean, I have many memories of, especially when the Lord started speaking to me to get the heck out of there. Um, uh, but initially, my memories weren't that good. I remembered, looking up at the ceiling of the ICU and just, you know, machinery moving around and changing, warping, changing shapes. And I'm thinking, oh man, this is it for me. I'm on my way out of here. And the shapes were not very friendly. Some of the faces were downright like grotesque, and kind of I'm thinking, man, I don't know if I want to go right now. I think I have some unfinished business here. So yeah, I need the Lord wants me to, and I want more than anything to have a chance at reconciling some of these some of some of the things that don't make sense to me yet. So, and I'm just starting to, I'm reading the Bible. Actually, I've done some things, like I've been baptized at home here with a very good friend of mine, almost you could say a pastor friend, uh, who works as a caregiver for me. But um, I but it's still like, yeah, I'm not a person. I'm not ready to come on here and make a video like this. So, or my voice hasn't returned yet. I'm talking about at this time previously. So where was I at? Just prior to, um, oh, right. So I'm in the hospital in the ICU, and then I end up somehow upstairs. They kept me alive, but at a certain point, I'm like, why? I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, that's right. When I first got there, I said, if you have to intubate me, don't do it. I would rather just be let go. And I guess they didn't see me as being in bad enough health. I didn't look nearly as good as my weight was terrible. I, I did come out of the hospital with quite a few scars, and I was not in very good health. Although they did get the sodium balanced and my protein levels a little bit. They weren't way below, but they were subpar slightly. So mm, um, I was still having those BP episodes until like just a few days before I made an exit from the hospital, the 10th floor of VGH. I'll have to post some of those pictures in here. Um, yeah, maybe I can come back through here and edit this video and put in those pictures here when I'm talking. Yeah, I'll try to do that. So um, I was praying and listening to a number of uh, preachers and people just, teaching about the Bible, about different, what it meant, what it was saying, because it's mysterious. There's a lot of first of all, understanding the language, and there's many translations, and when you come at it from the background of Hinduism, where I come at it from, um, that's a whole nother story that I'll have to get into on here another time. Um, I hope I'm not losing my audience here because I'm possibly um, the train is slowing down and speeding up in various places. But what I'm trying to say is that just recount the events of the last month or two and what led up to it and how it transpired to that have me sitting here in front of you um, with a smile on my face and able to speak in the way that I am now. Um, so I'm in the hospital. It's a little difficult for me to go over every detail of that um, you know experience in the hospital. But I can go the last week of it. I'm on the 10th floor in Vancouver General Hospital. Um, the nurses are very nice. Um, the doctors are. I have pressure sores on my backside that have I deal with at home. In terms of maintenance, my skin is delicate back there, so I just maintain a sort of a padding there. They had that had been neglected severely when I was in ICU, and the skin had gotten much worse, so it was opened. Then somehow, while either when I got there or during my stay there, I had incurred a what they call a hematoma, and maybe I'll show you pictures of that as well. And this tooth incident, this also happened in the ICU. Apparently, and I do have some vague recollection of this. I bit down on the NG tube, and this is leftover from one day as a kid when I was carrying a ladder with one of my best friends. Well, he is a best friend. I still count him as that. I bit down on the. No, I mean, our timing was off, and the ladder hit me in the mouth because I had my head between two of the rungs, and there's one of those aluminum ladders, and yeah, it took my tooth out. But I've had caps on it, and I had a cap on it, and when I bit down, it popped off. And anyhow, that was one of the. And then I had a hematoma on my foot, which is a big. I got it from, apparently I banged my foot against something, either in the ambulance or on the way out or somewhere in between. So I'm recovering from that. Um, a lot of things, a few other bings and bangs, and but I'm here. And that day, I was not doing well. By the grace of God and my caregivers who just lifted me up and refused to let me give up, refused to let me, you know, refused to let the hospital staff give up on me. I mean, and my dad even got hurt visiting me. He's still in the hospital, you could say, in rehab because of falling over. But I did a lot of soul searching, and I was listening to how to listen to the Bible, how to read it, how to know what it meant, and just trying my best. And I do have a discerning eye, and when something becomes uncomfortable, I just steer away from it immediately. But I'm not the most, I've always been the live and let live type, and that's so I don't proclaim my opinion out very much. So that kind of leaves you in the position of not having a strong opinion, or it can, or at least it did in my instance. So I'm over there just praying and hoping for something to at this point I went from rock bottom, which was just don't even. Why? What's the point of this? I want to. Actually, I was in so much pain that I called for the what they have is a faith person. You know, uh, I was hoping it was a Christian, but whatever, somebody to come there, and I would talk about how to, you know, end my life. I thought it was over. You can't. Looking at me now, it's hard to imagine me a few days ago. Literally a few days ago, 3 weeks maybe, and I'm like I'm giving up. I mean, I don't give up easily. I've been through a lot. It's like 35 plus years. I was 16 when I don't know if you can see me a little bit. I'm actually I have a spinal cord injury. I'm in a wheelchair, so just stretching my neck. Yeah, and I'm gonna read the Bible still. I'm gonna read it if you can stay around till the end and be for my reading. My testimony is just about to hit my voice. So I'm at rock bottom. You know, like literally, my health is done. My energy is done. I have no energy left. I'm having 230, 220 blood pressure every night, every morning for up to an hour, 2 hours at a time. And it's very difficult. And they're throwing all these blood pressure medications to bring it down, bring it up. It stays up for too long, bring it down, but then it goes down too low. And then they don't want to, and I'm like using these really unorthodox methods to and the nurses are like baffled by what I'm dealing with, and so am I. I don't know what's gonna happen, and it's so there was nothing really to look forward to in terms of a quality of life. Um, I didn't even know how my caregivers were sticking with me. Uh, so I'm like this, and then I guess you could say I was visited by the devil. Um, Not literally, but what happened was I had one night. I would go through this every night, this blood pressure and and putting pillows and trying to get me comfortable and get me the right medications. And it was a weekend, and on the weekends the staff changed at the hospital. You don't get as much care, and you just have to tough it out. I had a few incidents of things, yeah. So this 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 put me in a really bad, or it could have. Let's just say the devil tried to get to me, and everything that I relied on was I went through some form of abuse by the staff there. I won't. I guess I could tell what happened. They just refused to either take my blood pressure or give me any medications, and my blood pressure was at 220 over like 160. It was quite high, and I couldn't bring it down. This was like 10, starting at 10 p.m. Let's just say, and heading toward midnight, and then no one would help me. I couldn't get anybody. They wouldn't bring They said they were going to bring the medications. They bring it down. They never showed up and it became hours. Hours stretched on to 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and then it was the morning time. And then they went, and I was having my caregiver take my blood pressure so that they would know what it currently was, because whatever. And then one of them just came in and removed, didn't say a word to me, just removed the cuff from my arm and walked out. So from that point on, that was about halfway through. I couldn't take so, and what I was just in my mind. I was thinking, listen to the Lord, okay? Don't- Um, and I knew I had a caregiver with me. She was fairly new on the job. She didn't know how to react. She was in between the nurses and me, and she didn't know whether they were right. insinuating that it was all in my head, and that just being really um, unhelpful and not not even keeping to their word um, in terms of bringing the medications that would normally have been my 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 hourly medications when they were supposed to be administered and so on. So I just thought to myself, I'm going to behave uh, like I know that Jesus would have behaved and how he did, and I did not become angry at anyone, and I was, I don't know, I just was happy. I didn't lose it at all, and I kept calm and peaceful, and I was not spiteful to anyone, and was able to, you know, be nice to my caregiver and keep her from. She was like, it could have very much panicked her, or I could have caused a lot of friction. I felt the energy coming from the nurses was inviting me very much to react in that way with friction, but I did not. I did not react that way because I knew in my heart, with the wisdom that you could say was my friend by this point and was speaking for me, was telling me that nothing that I would behave like and that would be um, affected by anger or by rage or by even sort of recalling bad things that happened to me in the past, or saying, or by using my mouth to say something. There was nothing that I could have said either verbally or with my face that was angry, or that disputed what was going on, that was going to be helpful. I knew that in any of those instances, the main effect it would have had on me was to increase the blood pressure problem that I was already um, struggling with, right? So that was not an option if I was to survive this night, because I knew that if I gone up, my blood pressure were to go up any further, it would might likely end up in me not surviving the episode. So because my body was already hadn't slept very well on many nights, and it was already low on energy. So I just said that that I'm gonna stay peaceful, and I with a smile. I literally had a smile, and then eventually, she and I determined that it was up to us to get through the night with what little we had and what we could do. So we did end up changing my position and getting me to a point where somehow the blood pressure just went down, not a huge amount, and then the next day, well, within the next few days, my appetite came roaring back. I was, you know, and then it wasn't too long after that they were asking me if I wanted to be discharged soon, and by the weekend, really by that weekend, and my energy just started roaring back. My appetite, I didn't, the blood pressure episodes just started going away, and I just said, yeah, I would love to go home, and I was scared. I was scared, but by this point, my faith was very strong, um, and I was determined that I would get home and follow up by reading the Bible more and getting to understand it more. And I have been doing that. It hasn't been quite as maybe determined as I thought I would have it, but it sure is nice to be able to go out a little more. And I went to the dentist, getting this thing taken care of in the next few weeks, just making some appointments, Meeting the neighbors a little bit here and there has been very nice. I've just been starting to, you know, venture out the door a little bit. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. So now, that leads me to today, and that's my testimony. When people see me and they see the look on my face and the weight that I've gained and so on, and they ask me, "Wow, what happened?" I have to testify. I don't have a choice. You know, I can't claim that it was all me. I don't know what happened, but I did get through. Okay, now I'm going to try to read what I said I was going to read in the first place. Alrighty? The word first, Father, Heavenly Father, I'm going to be reading here from your word, and please put into my spirit, my soul, the ability to convey what you intend for these words to convey, and give me the ability to read it, like to make you happy with it. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. The word that the Lord spoke concerning Babylon, concerning the land of the Chaldeans, by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare among the nations and proclaim. Set up a banner and proclaim. Conceal it not, and say, Babylon is shaken, Bel is put to shame, Merodach is dismayed, her images are put to shame, her idols are dismayed. For out of the north a nation has come up against her, which shall make her land a desolation, and none shall dwell in it. Both man and beast shall flee away. In those days and in that time, declares the Lord, the people of Israel and the people of Judah shall come together, weeping as they come, and they shall seek the Lord their God. They shall ask the way to Zion, with faces turned toward it, saying, Come, let us join ourselves to the Lord in an everlasting covenant that will never be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have led them astray, turning them away on the mountains, from mountain to hill. They have gone, they have forgotten their fold. All who have found them have devoured them, and their enemies have said, We are not guilty, for they have sinned against the Lord, their habitation of righteousness, the Lord, the hope of their fathers. Flee from the midst of Babylon, and go out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as male goats before the flock. For behold, I am stirring up and bringing against Babylon a gathering of great nations from the north country, and they shall array themselves against her. From there she shall be taken. Their arrows are like a skilled warrior who does not return empty-handed. Chaldea shall be plundered. All who plunder her shall be sated, declares the Lord. Through you, though you rejoice, though you exult, O plunderers of my heritage, though you frolic like a heifer in the pasture, and neigh like stallions, your mother shall be utterly shamed, and she who bore you shall be disgraced. Behold, she shall be the last of the nations, a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Because of the wrath of the Lord, she shall not be inhabited, but shall be an utter desolation. Everyone who passes by Babylon shall be appalled and hiss because of all her wounds. Set yourself in array against Babylon all around. All you who bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against the Lord. Raise a shout against her all around. She has surrendered. Her bulwarks have fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For this is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance on her. Do to her as she has done. Cut off from Babylon the sower and the one who handles the sickle in time of the harvest. Because of the sword of the oppressor, everyone shall turn to his own people, and everyone shall flee to his own land. Israel is a hunted sheep driven away by lions. First the king of Assyria devoured him, and now at last Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has gnawed his bones. Therefore, thus says the Lord of the hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I am bringing punishment on the king of Babylon and his land as I punished the king of Assyria. I will restore Israel to his pasture, and he shall feed on Carmel and in Bashan, and his desire shall be satisfied on the hills of Ephraim and Gilead. In those days and in that time, declares the Lord, iniquity shall be sought in Israel, and there shall be none, and sin in Judah, and none shall be found, for I will pardon those whom I leave as a remnant. Okay. Please, now, I don't claim to be an interpreter of that. I wish I knew what some of those words meant. I do see some parallels here now, though, with the current times that we're in, and that Babylon is all these evil forces. Like, I don't want to get into geopolitics right now, so I won't. So thank you, Lord, for bringing us your word, and for all you nice people that stayed this whole time. Thank you as well. Thank you so much. I will say goodbye and see you next time. And I'll be back with more videos and better ones, I promise you.